What's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AmzSecrets show and your host, David Aladdin. I've built this show to jump past the basics and into the real stuff that matters with selling on Amazon. I look to understand the person, their strategies, secrets, so all of us can build better businesses together. We're not just in this game to take part, but we're in this business to take over. Today's sponsor is AmzSecrets VIP, the platform of tools, secrets, and strategies from some of the best sellers on Amazon. AmzSecrets.com guarantees to at least 2x your business revenue or your money back. I personally have already 3x to 4 times my business, and many others have too. Today, we've got a special guest on the show. His name is Danny McMillan, who was in the music industry for over 17 years, running his own labels, production, radio, and an artist. Not just that, he's an Amazon seller. Thanks for coming on the show, Danny. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, well, where do I start? As I mentioned to you pre-show, I'm a little bit older than most people like yourself. I'm 40 now, so I've had quite a colourful career, but I was lucky to start back when I was 17 in the music industry, and then I got another shot where by the time I was done with the music industry, I retired in 2008 as an artist and DJ and stuff like that. But I was lucky enough to move online and got my baptism of fire of running startup companies, which were music based back then. So, and that kind of came down the path between now and 2008, led me to Amazon last year. So I've got a commerce background and conversion optimization, PPC, and raising capital for companies and stuff. Well, co-raising with other partners and people that I worked with and worked for. But yeah, it's led me to Amazon now. And so, if there's any points you want to pick apart, let us know.
Okay, let's start in 2008 with the music industry. How does that play a role into your FBA start?
Okay, it kind of says this on my website. It's like, I feel that remixing records is a bit like repurposing products, if that makes sense. Yep. So you're joining the dots. So when I started out in the music industry, I was releasing vinyl, I was in a state a lot touring, etc. And we were doing physical products. And so we're doing manufacturing, we're dealing with import, we're dealing with export. You're in a studio, you're building something, you're making something, and you're trying to tailor it for an audience, as well as yourself as an artist, yeah? And then you've got to work out how you package it and how you market it in the hope that people will like it. And so there's a lot of parallels there with doing FBA, I feel. There's a creative process. It depends. I mean, you can just whack a badge on something, or you can go to a lot more extremes in designing your product, or you can repurpose a product, or you can get some new tooling done. Does that make sense? So I see the FBA process is a creative process. Now, if we throw into the mix the moving online in 2008 and get the baptism of fire and working with technology companies and music-based companies in ticketing, I developed my skills for conversion optimization and PPC. I was up against fierce competitors in terms of dealing with PPC budgets for ticketing, like concert ticketing and shows and festivals and things like that. So, that's up there with ambulance chaser style PPC and, or another way of looking at it is that you're dealing with a similar kind of crowd that may be associated that does supplements, that's a fierce market. So you've got quite a lot of technical people there.
No, agreed. Okay, so when you transitioned to FBA, did you drop all the other stuff, or are you still running those businesses as well?
No, I've got a couple of offline businesses that I run, but basically they were built on PPC. So I had limited time that I need to spend on those. So I kind of oversee those. I spend a couple of hours a day. I'm a big fan of the 80-20 rule. So they're in the world of construction, you know. So
when you say PPC, are you talking about Facebook PPC or Google or Amazon?
I use PPC as a broad term because that covers everything because I've been doing it a long time, So generally what you're talking about is AdWords in terms of PPC.
Gotcha. Yep.
But I also call Amazon, which is called sponsored ads, is basically pay-per-click. So it's a quicker way, it's abbreviated to say. It's a bit like saying search engine optimization or SEO. It's just a little bit easier to to kind of utilize those words. So, and as you know, you're quite a technical guy, so you've played around with, I imagine, you've played around with Facebook ads and AdWords and Bing ads and stuff like that. And when you
I haven't done the Bing ads thing just because I don't see Bing as like a competitor to Google, but
yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do. I mean, I still use Bing as a secondary like a secondary chain of generating long tail in terms of conversions. But you're right, it's only about 15-20% of Google, especially in UK, and especially if you're doing service-based business. And if you're doing service-based businesses, you limit your reach, and so that makes it even smaller. But it still brings in long-term conversions over the space of the year for the business. But getting back on with the sponsored ads, I mean, when you compare sponsored ads to AdWords, there isn't really any comparison. You know what you're looking at. You look at AdWords as this deep system that can be quite tricky for people to learn. I mean, you might be able to get your pilot's license quicker than you can really get into AdWords and nail it, especially like the display network, which is quite a difficult one to harness. If you compare that to, say, sponsored ads is easy. You see what I mean? If you know the basics of sponsored ads, it is pretty damn easy when you compare it to the knowledge that you gain from using more sophisticated PPC platforms.
Okay, so we're opening a ton of different conversations at once.
Okay.
Not even sure which one to jump in first.
So where do you want to go with it?
Let's focus on Amazon PPC. In terms of Amazon PPC, what type of tools are you using to optimize your campaigns?
Tools will vary across the board. I use a series of different keyword tools. I mean, I use... can we swear on the show?
Yeah, sure. There's no kids doing Amazon.
I use Keyword Shitter, which is a bulk keyword tool.
That's a real tool?
That's cool. It's a real tool.
Okay.
I also use... there's a free Amazon tool called Scientific Seller.
Yep, heard of that.
Which is pulling the API, so it's like all the autocomplete information. I also use merge words, so when I'm trying to create a basis of a form of keywords that I'd like to use, so merging words together. Obviously, keyword inspector as well with a token, so reverse async lookup. And I use Google AdWords tool as well for extracting information before I start to boil everything down in a spreadsheet. Can I mention other groups and stuff here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Now, there's for people that don't use paid tools, there's a guy called Brian Bowman. He runs AmzSecrets, the PPC group. He has a spreadsheet you can download, which is pretty good, which means you can cut and paste all of the data that Google tools spit out, and it summarizes it into groups for you to take the pain out of it. So you can download that for free. I use that spreadsheet as well.
Very cool. I actually not affiliated to Hello Profit, by the way, but I found a lot of their tools are actually very useful for calculating all the variables that are in place, like sponsored ads, into the amount of profit margin you're making. So you know right down to the penny, the ROI and the profit that you're making.
Yes.
So I'm guessing that spreadsheet does something similar.
Well, no. What it does is the spreadsheet dedupes the content for you, and it groups them by the what's it called? I've got it in front of me now. The impression value. So how many searches per month, say for the Google one, yeah. So what we'll do, you can set a threshold. So let's just say that you want a group of keywords that have got a threshold of above 2,000. You can set that threshold, and then it displays a series of panels. And in those panels, it'll group you what is the most high velocity keywords. But it's also deduping at the same time. So really, it's a cleanup tool.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and you can also in there take the information and redo your title and bullets and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just got a file section. I downloaded it from there. But I find that quite handy and always mention that to people as it's a freebie to use as well.
When you talk about merge words, that tool, mergewords.com?
Yes, yeah.
And you're forming keywords. Is that keywords that you put in your backend or into the description?
No, what I use merge words for, let's just say that before you hit the tools, you're brainstorming, yeah? You're deciding a few keywords that you want to